Alright guys, so obviously you guys know the topic of this video. I'm not gonna go in details exactly what all the details in terms of what really happened to Reeboks. Honestly, it's pretty straightforward. But basically 2 weeks ago I bought Oz and I bought some plants to kind of cover the separators so Reeboks and Oz wouldn't fight. And I usually always soak my plants in peroxide just to kill any bacterias or snails or whatever. And this time I kind of just rinsed them very quickly, and I just started putting the plants in the tank. Obviously I was very excited, and I wasn't really thinking, and I don't know what happened, but I noticed on Oz that there was a small dot on his kind of under his belly, and I was like, maybe this is like maybe the itch, because that's kind of how it starts. So I was kind of just keeping an eye on it, but I didn't know really how to react to it. So I actually messaged the owner of the fish store, and I just asked him if he deworms his fish. And he said no, unless they really have to. So I just kind of kept that in the back of my mind, right? And then on a different day, I noticed that Reeboks had a pink spot on his skin. And with the Congo pufferfish, sometimes they can hit rocks or sharp item in the tank, and then they'll kind of get scraped. But my gut feeling was telling me that it wasn't that. I know Reeboks in the back of my head, and usually when he hits items, he gets bruised, and there's like it's almost like a darker red, but this was a lighter pink. So obviously I kind of kept that in the back of my head. And then the next day I kind of saw another dot higher on his head, and so I immediately messaged a bunch of people on the Facebook community, and people were telling me that it was the heater, like he got burned by the heater. But I don't have a heater in my tank because I have the Always Bio Thermomaster, which the heater is integrated in the canister filter. So I was like, no, it can't be that. I think it's something else. And then someone messaged me and said, no, this is a fungus disease. Make sure you're treating him as soon as possible. And that's kind of where I was thinking it was. So I took Reeboks out of the tank immediately and quarantined them in a bucket. And I started just taking procedures. I added an air stone, and then I was adding Super Protect. Basically, it's high in like garlic, and I also added some garlic clove in the bucket just to kill any bacteria. And I increased the heater in my tank because that's what you should be doing if you have an infection. So what happened was I did that for a day or two, and then I noticed on the third day that the fungus was spreading entirely all over his body. It was like it was so fast. It was just spreading. And keep in mind, I also had Oz in a low bucket as well, because I might as well just do both at the same time. And I wanted to treat that low dot on his belly, just to make sure I get rid of that. And so he was also getting treated at the same time, and he was a bit more relaxed. I found that Congo pufferfish, whenever there's something that happens to them, they start breathing very heavily. They're very sensitive fish. A lot of people think they're easy to take care of, and I had my ups and downs with Reeboks in the past, but we've always figured it out. Even when I was doing big changes in this tank, he would always breathe very, very changes in their environment. So obviously on the fourth and fifth day, I kind of messaged Tyler, and I was like, yo man, like it's not working, the Super Tact, whatever that product I was using. So I started looking into it a little bit more, and people were saying to use aquarium salt to heal the fungus. So I started using that, and obviously that was my last resource because I don't want to use salt, especially for a freshwater pufferfish. So I started dosing that. I was doing like 1/4 of a tablespoon, and again, made sure that the temperature was right. But I just noticed that the fungus was kind of starting to cover his eyes. And again, he was in high stress. And short story short, I moved Reeboks, as you guys saw in my last story, the other day, in a different tank just to keep him away from Oz. I didn't know if it was actually affecting him that much. I don't think it was, but just to keep him more away from a different pufferfish. And basically that night, I just started noticing that he was also trying to grasp for air. Despite there was air stone in the tank. And later around 12 at night, I heard a splash because obviously he was swimming. And keep in mind, I was trying to feed him and he wouldn't eat the whole time. And a lot of pufferfish, when they're going under a lot of stress, they don't eat. And I just remember seeing his scale turn like super white, and then he was like again grasping for air. So I took him in a low bucket, and I was like, you know what, maybe he needs to be in his the actual aquarium. So I dumped him in the aquarium, and with the bucket, keep in mind I had the bucket, I didn't just dump him in, I had the bucket, and I gradually put him in the water just so like he doesn't get shocked by the water temperature. And then he basically just like passed away. And I think after looking back, the water was very cloudy. The fungus attacked what Tyler was saying, his stress coat, and we thought like the fungus was going away, but really what was going away was his stress coat. And the fungus, it attacks the gills, and I think that's kind of why he was grasping for air. So Reeboks is unfortunately gone, guys, and it's tough. And obviously I've had him for 2 years since he was a little kid, but they do say the fungus can always come back even though they heal, and there could have been a little bit of fungus left in the tank. So I'm still very cautious with Oz right now. We're still taking procedures. I'm still going to be dumping that super tack in the tank now that it's just him in the tank, and there's still some garlic clove in the tank just in case. So Oz is still swimming a lot, and he's healthy, so hopefully nothing happens to him. But it's very tough for me to swallow what just happened, because obviously Reeboks was my main guy. So again, appreciate all the support, and I just made a little video of Oz's new home, and I hope you guys enjoy it.